Hello, my dear students. In this session, let us discuss about the factors affecting food spoilage. So, what is food spoilage? Food spoilage occurs due to the action of microorganisms. The microorganism in the natural environment, such as soil, they try to degrade or decompose the organic matter and try to recycle the elements or the component present in the organic matter. Whereas when they encounter food or when they enter food system, they causes food spoilage. There are various bacteria, fungi, yeast. They are reported to cause food spoilage, and they are called as food spoiling causative agents. Why these microorganisms grow on food? This is due to the presence of nutritive value, sometimes the structure which attracts the microorganism so that they can grow onto the suitable media or suitable structure and try to multiply. Once these microorganisms starts multiplying on the surface or within the food, then the quality of the food starts deteriorating and it won't be edible for consumption because the microorganisms try to secrete secondary metabolites, sometimes some toxins, which are really poisonous to the health. Once consumed, it may lead to various health implications. Hence, prevention of microbial food spoilage plays a very important role in the current days where food safety and security plays a very important role. In this session, let us see what are the factors influencing the microbial spoilage. All the factors are grouped broadly into intrinsic factor and extrinsic factor. In this slide, let us see the intrinsic factor. The intrinsic factor affecting microbial growth are very commonly pH, moisture content of the food, water activity of the food, oxidation reduction potential of the food, physical structure of the food, available nutrient or nutritive value of the food, and sometimes presence of antimicrobial agents in the food. So these are some of the common spoiling agents. Example here, when it comes to molds, there are various types. The best example are Penicillium rhizopus, Aspergillus. You can see growing on the bread, growing on to other fruits and vegetables, which gives a lush green color, which indicates the growth of Aspergillus and Penicillium species. By seeing visually, we can easily make out that this particular food is spoiled by microorganisms. Similarly, the bacteria, there are various types of bacteria. Some belong to Bacillus species, some belong to Pseudomonas species, Erwinia, Xanthomonas, etc. Similarly, yeast are also reported to cause microbial food spoilage. As we discussed earlier, pH level. There are various microorganisms which are grouped based on the pH. For example, acidophiles, neutrophiles, and alkalophiles. Acidophiles are the microorganism which likes to grow in acidic environment, whereas neutrophiles are the microorganism which grows well at neutral pH. And similarly, in alkalophiles are the microorganism which tend to grow at higher pH, alkaline pH. Similarly, water activity of the food. Water activity in food limits or suppress the microbial growth as microorganism requires water for proliferation and multiplication. So higher the water activity, the food will be more attracted towards the microbial spoilage. Nutrient content. Nutrient content, the food rich in various nutrients such as carbohydrates, protein, Fats are more susceptible to spoilage due to its increased nutrients, which results in increase higher chances of getting spoilage. And similarly, oxygen availability also plays a very important role as microorganisms have a diverse metabolic pathways. Various microorganisms grow well at aerobic condition, whereas there are certain microorganisms which requires anaerobic condition. At the same time, there are a group of microorganisms which grow well at both presence and absence of oxygen, and they are termed as facultative microorganisms. Moving on to the next slide, antimicrobial compounds. There are certain foods which have the antimicrobial properties and they are widely consumed for its antimicrobial activity. The best example is ginger, garlic. These are some of the food which are reported to have antimicrobial properties. So there are less chances of any microbial contamination on these foods. At the same time, physical structure also plays a very important role. For example, if any vegetable or food is cut or open, then it gives a path for microorganism to enter into it and start deteriorating the food. Whereas the structures like on the egg which has a shell is very difficult to get microbial contamination. And when it comes to fruits, for example, pineapple, which has a very hard structure, it is difficult to microbes to grow onto that surface in comparison with the surface of apple or any other cherries, etc. Similarly, temperature also plays a very important role, and one of the best means of preserving food we have been practicing is refrigeration. Refrigeration is a mean of controlling the growth of microorganism and increasing the shelf life of the food commodities. Now moving on to the extrinsic factors, the temperature, relative humidity, carbon dioxide or oxygen types and number of microorganisms inside food. Temperature, higher temperature sometimes results in uh, releasing or removing the water content in the from the food, which relates in dehydration, which and there is less chances of food getting contaminated. So there are various foods which are dried in order to preserve for a longer period of time, and this is well practiced in especially in meat products when they try to dry the meat slice of meat so that they can preserve at longer period of time without any refrigeration. Similarly, refrigeration, as we discussed, or freezing slows down or suppresses the growth of microorganism and increase the shelf life of the food. At the same time, there are various microorganisms which are capable of growing at this temperature as well, and they are called as saprophytes. Higher humidity. High humidity level creates favorable conditions for various microorganisms to grow, especially molds. They try to grow on the surface of the food. So, maintaining the proper humidity is essential to prevent the microbial contamination. Atmosphere and packaging. Oxygen and other gases present in the atmosphere also influences the microbial food spoilage. Hence, there are various packaging techniques which are followed by creating an artificial environmental or atmospheric conditions. For example, vacuum packaging or modified atmosphere packaging can alter the microbial conditions and prevents microorganisms to spoil the food, which results in extension of shelf life of the food. Moving on to the light exposure, Light can promote the breakdown of certain nutrients and can create conducive environment for microbial spoilage. Whereas the storage or opaque packaging helps to mitigate the light induced spoilage. So, light exposure also plays a very important role in manipulating the microbial food spoilage. Cross contamination. Certain in certain scenarios or certain conditions, what happens if the water what we use to wash the food or any vegetables or fruit might contain some of the serious pathogens, and when you try to use that water in order to wash it, then there are chances of cross contamination, or the utensils what you use for cooking, if they are not properly washed, then there are higher risk of cross contamination. So maintaining proper hygienic practices plays a very important role in order to reduce or minimize the microbial contamination. So in this slide, some of the major cause of food spoilage with respect to various factors is being discussed, what we have seen till now in this session. So reaction with oxygen, light, like gain or loss of moisture content, physical stress or abuse, which means the damage to the food, inappropriate temperatures, microorganisms or pathogens present in the food, the, the nutritive or chemical composition of the food, and infestation by insect, parasite, and rodents. They also try to carry microbial cross contaminate the food and cause microbial contamination. With this very brief lecture, let me wind up this session. Thank you very much. Wish you all the very best. If you have any doubt, please do comment and you can call us anytime. Thank you. Have a nice time ahead.